My name is Insane Raven. I am back with another episode of Say It With Me, IO Reviews. And in this episode, we are reviewing the wonderful Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Now, I'm excited about this movie, not only because I get to see it, what a woods, a week in advance, thanks to a friend of mine. It was also a good time. I walked into this movie with not a lot of expectations and a lot of reason to be terrified. And so before I go any further, I do want to make it clear that I'm not sponsored by Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, or Amazon Prime, which is how I got to see the movie earlier. And also, yes, I recognize I suck at this game. Good thing I'm just playing it, so I have something to show you while I talk about the movie. Moving on. Let's start with the movie's plot. The movie's plot is pretty simple, and the fact that it's a video game. Take item of importance, 2, location of importance, complete the task, get the girl, move on. And really for this movie, that's all you need to do. Our 4 main characters enter the school via breakfast club-esque detention activity. Detention activity is more accurate. And even though I'm pretty sure this doesn't even happen in today's time, what just happened to my game? So as you're watching the movie, you already know that you're not going to walk into this movie with high hopes and walk out of it expecting the keys to the universe. It's just not going to happen. But that being said, it is an amazingly fun movie that I actually enjoyed. Keep in mind, I walked in with low expectations and high hopes. I wasn't expecting much from this movie. Now, like previously mentioned, it does follow a very video gamey plot, but that being a video game, it's okay and even makes sense. And that was probably one of my bigger takeaways from this film, is that someone has finally realized how to make a video game movie. You own that fact that it's a video game. That was a weird way of saying that. But the movie takes the fact that it's all placed in a video game and it's zany, it's fun, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and even when it does, it doesn't let those serious moments drag down the movie, which is something that's almost too easy to do with an action comedy video game movie. There's a lot of titles for what this movie actually is. It's confusing. But as the movie goes on, you end up liking each of the characters, each of the little quips and puns. And I was actually really surprised. Now, I didn't even watch a lot of the trailers. I have a rule against that, where I watch one trailer of a movie that I think I'm going to go see, and then I just go see it. So I'm not sure how many of the jokes were actually spoiled in the trailers. But based off my experience, not many of them were. And it kept the movie feeling fresh. Whereas a lot of movies end up feeling tired and run down day one because of their trailers. Now, even though it is starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart, I would say it's not their movie. It's definitely their story, and that's without a doubt what we're given. It's their story. But Jack Black steals this movie right out from under him. He definitely has the best jokes and quips in the movie, mainly because of how his character is played. He plays a self-absorbed teenage girl who has basically just chosen the wrong avatar. And I feel like, well, you could make a political statement about that and how, you know, transvestites never truly understand what they're given. And I'm pretty sure someone's going to make that argument. I'm not going to make that argument. I don't want to make that argument. I want to enjoy a movie where Jack Black says he's a washed out, fat white man and just go with it and enjoy that joke. Because, damn it, I came for a good time and you're not going to ruin it with your identity politics. This video is going to get seen by a lot of people and I'm pissing them off. Moving on. Yes, I find myself funny sometimes. Moving on. So the movie kind of circles around this idea of just get out of the game. You're all given romantic subplots because of course you are. It is an action comedy. It's almost impossible not to have a romantic subplot in an action comedy. And then does the job well enough. It's nothing that you aren't expecting. Main character A falls in love with main character B because it turns out they're actually really capable of doing things and blah 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 blah. But you know that actually. So there is a romantic subplot which I'm talk about more later in the video. But I don't want to go into it right now for spoiler reasons. But the plot's pretty simple and it goes into the video game-esque thing, which I've already talked about, so I'm not going to run it into the ground here. The biggest thing you need to know about this movie is that you're not watching it for the plot. You're watching it for the adventure and for the sights and sounds. And the movie doesn't lose anything from that. And while a lot of movies go off the deep end with that idea of let's make it loud and explosive and this and that, I played terribly. This movie doesn't. This movie kind of just like, hey, this is what we got. You're either going to like it or you're not. And while there are a lot of dick jokes, thanks to I forgot his name, Jack Black's character, they don't feel like they override the other jokes that are in the movie. I almost called it the show for a second, which is a good thing. While I do find his interactions with the fact that he now has a penis hilarious, and personally I enjoy those jokes the most in this movie. Not because the other jokes are bad and I have to go to this visceral place to get comedy out of the movie, but because I just felt like the way Jack Black's plays it off, the way he plays it off makes it much funnier than what it deserves to be. And however you want to take that, I'm letting you take that. Let's talk about the plot, the main antagonist of the villain, which you'll forget quickly because he is very much given the treatment of a, knockoff video game villain where, yeah, he's there to kind of push the plot along, but not really do anything about it. He's kind of just there to be like, yeah, there's a reason why there's a sense of urgency and why you have to keep moving forward with this, but there's no real reason why you have to be worried about him. Which I feel could have been easily resolved by just having him in the movie a little bit more. Like, for an antagonist, he's not really in the movie for as much as he should be. But then again, this movie isn't about a protagonist and antagonist. It's purely about a protagonist going through an adventure, which isn't bad in this scenario, and I enjoyed it because of that. So, what are the other things that this movie has going for it? Because there are a lot it has going for it. It has the fact that the cast is great. Every single character feels fun and like they have a purpose. Now, whether or not that purpose is just to be a MacGuffin man is another thing completely. And you probably have wondering why I haven't mentioned this character yet. He's been in the trailers and he's been mentioned as the fresh blood, and I'm gonna mention him now. Nick Jonas. His character is, or codename Seaplane. He is the MacGuffin character in this movie, almost to high water. He but I'm gonna talk about more about him in the spoiler territory of this video because I don't want to go too far in. The jokes are fun, the action's brilliant and bright, and it is the best showing of a video game movie there is. Not only because it's fun, but because it manages to make fun of video games in a way that doesn't come across as, oh, this is terrible and that's why I'm making fun of it. But it comes from a place of, we're part of the community and we know that this is ridiculous. Which is something that I feel when it comes to movies and video games, they don't really just seem to understand. They don't understand how you kind of have to work with the video game culture instead of against it. But I'm biased as fuck as I'm doing this movie review while playing video games. I understand that. I understand my bias in that. No, but it's a fun time, and I think if you want to watch something fun and just to go see and hang out with friends, this is definitely the movie I would go for. It almost seems like it's a really good holiday movie, not in the sense of, oh, it's Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. This movie makes you feel fun and love and whatever. But if you want to see something with the family, and this is what this is what I'd pick. It's fun. It's stupid. You're gonna have a good time, and almost no one will be offended. I mean, maybe if you have like someone who's petrified of transvestites, they might be offended. That could be a thing. That could be an awkward scenario. So maybe don't bring Nana. Bring other people. Don't bring Nana. Yeah. I like that. That's how I'd say it. Next. So we've talked about plot, we've talked about jokes and character and quips and how they're all spot on and all that fun stuff. So what's there left to talk about? Spectacle. The spectacle is everywhere. And I don't mean it to the point where it's distracting and it takes away from the plot. It gets to the point of it pushes the plot along in a fun way. It's not... I wasn't tired of the spectacle by the end of the movie, like you kind of get in some of these movies. Like, oh, that's so over the top and so stupid, it doesn't make sense. That's the other thing it benefits from. It being a video game, you totally buy it. It's like, oh, cool. Of course you can jump over a motorcycle and drop kick that dude. What else would she do? I'd use that ability. That being said, I don't know who I have to talk to about getting a Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle video game, but I will talk to them. Because this needs to be a video game. I want to play this video game so bad. Oh god. Make it longer, make it very similar, but just like stretch some things out, and you could have a really, really fun time with it. And I'm not being facetious at all. You could have a really fun time with this movie. Moving on. I am now going to get into the spoiler territory of this film. Being that this film doesn't even come out till next week, I understand if you guys want to bounce out and, power to you. Come back in a week. Tell me what you thought about the movie. Tell me if you think I'm being dumb, or tell me if you think I need to get good at Call of Duty, because you're not wrong. And we will have that discussion later. But now for the spoiler territory. Now, I have mentioned how the plot does have this romantic backdrop, and it does. And that's probably one of the biggest issues with it, is that you're not surprised with it. Everything seems, in response to how everything ends, you're going to see the ending a mile away. And there really isn't a way to avoid that. It's a fun action-adventure movie where the good guy obviously is going to win. And all these other things are obviously going to happen, because otherwise you don't have a good, happy ending. We have a depressing romp where people died. We don't want that. That's not the movie we're selling. That's not the movie we're making. Also, it makes no sense for that to be the movie we are selling or making with this property. But there is an ending sequence which annoys me to high hell, and we're going to talk about that here. So one of the things that I probably should have mentioned earlier, but I didn't because it's way too spoilery, in my opinion. You might disagree with me, but you know, opinions. Uh, and that's the live mechanic of the video game. The live mechanic of the movie is this thing that they push on and they almost use as a tactical device, and it ends up being the butt of a lot of the jokes, which is another reason why I didn't want to talk about it. Is that it ends up being a tool to tell the more physical comedy driven jokes. But apart from that, what does the lives actually do? Well, the lives kind of show you what each character ends up being in their character arc. Pretty much whenever a character loses a life, that's when they've undergone a big change in their character arc. And if that isn't obvious enough, the more you watch the film and the more like you see where the movie's going, the more and more you start to pick up on that. And it gets to the point where it's almost unavoidable. Like there's a moment where Dwayne The Rock's character, he is a big chicken. It's almost his sole character trait at some points that he's a chicken, and that he's supposed to be the leader of the group because of the character he picked, and he just can't do it. Well, the first time he starts to take leadership, he starts to take a more leadership-driven role, he gets pushed off a cliff and dies. Boom, one of his lives. The next time he loses a life, he gets scared by a squirrel, which is a nice callback to the beginning of the movie when a squirrel terrifies him. And that's his second death, and that second death then causes this big emotional speech between The Rock and Kevin Hart's characters to be like, no, you've only ever had one life. Just because we're in a video game doesn't mean you're not brave. Like, you've done some brave stuff and while we've been in here type thing. And that's another big thing in the movie, that each character has 3 lives, and a lot of that, and that's where you see Bethany's character, Jack Black's character, kind of interact with. He immediately dies upon entering the game because he's looking at himself and he's looking very vain, and then he gives up his second life to save Kevin Hart's, not Kevin Hart's character, Nick Jonas's character, showing that she has had this change of heart and she's not going to be so self-absorbed and she's not going to be so selfish and yada yada yada. Great, you had a character arc. Good for you. Then you have Kevin Hart's character, the jock, who almost as if to completely fight everything that has been established with the other characters, you see that he doesn't have a real character arc. He dies by the cake, which is a thing we've seen in the trailers, and it's a nice pun. It's a nice joke how he's careless and how he doesn't pay attention to things, and then he's tossed away as a human sacrifice. Like, his role in the movie is to pretty much keep things moving and keep things going, and kind of be the foil to The Rock's character, and just like kind of keep him going in a way. And he's given his great moments and whatever. Then you have Ruby Roundhouse's character, who I forgot, like the kid who's playing the video game character, his name. But her first death is almost as accidental. And then her second death is a self-sacrificing move in which she proves that she is, she trusts in the other characters. And she trusts Spencer's character and how he is. And it kind of brings together that they are now a couple and that they are doing things and blah, 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 blah. And it's real nice. But by the time you get to that point in the film, you almost realize it's so paint by the numbers. And it's like, oh, as much as I've had a fun time on this, I know where this is going to end almost immediately. And that doesn't become as clear as when Ruby Roundhouse's character is at the very end. Is at the very end of the movie. They only have like 5 minutes left, and she still has 2 lives. And she's like, I can do this, no problem. She picks up the MacGuffin stone, which it has a thing, I forgot, it's not important. She picks up the MacGuffin stone, she kills herself, and then she falls through the air. And like, you're in this moment where you're expecting this really tense moment, and that's what the film is like kind of pushing in this here, is that there's a tense moment, like how is she gonna get out of this? She's gonna die. But if you've been counting the lives, which isn't hard to do, you're counting the 12 essentially. You're counting the 13 because Nick Jonas' character has 1 life by the time you meet him. It's like, oh, there's no reason why I should worry about this character because she still has 2 lives. Like, this isn't an issue. Why are we freaking out about this? And that's really disappointing. That's the vibe I ended up walking away with. And not this, oh, we might not actually get a happy ending. There might actually be consequences to this. And you don't even get that illusion in the movie, which is one of the most disappointing things, is that you don't even get the illusion of a tense thing, because you already know how it goes, you know. But yeah, and there's one thing I really wanted to talk about, but I refuse to spoil for you guys. Why did my audio just blast out of my TV like that? That's so weird. There's one thing I wanted to talk about, and I refuse to spoil it. But it does answer the question of what is this movie? Is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? There is a definitive answer for that question, and it is in the movie, and it's shown in the movie, and the way they do it, I was really touched by it. I thought it was beautiful what they did, and the line that goes with it, I felt was even better. So there is an answer. There's a definitive answer, so you don't have to call up Matt Pat and theorize anything. There's a definitive answer to that question, and I hope you find this movie as satisfying as I did. But until next time, my name has been Insane Raven. I will see you next time. Bye bye.